I hope you are doing well. What I want to do in this video is to talk a little bit about the project. But before doing the project, and as always, you should make sure you're very comfortable with the material that was presented to you in the textbook, as well as in the videos and activities. Also, the instructor notes will be very helpful for the project. Again, project under assignments, and then click on Module 5 project, which I'm going to open up here. And I'm going to take this out for a sec. Always make sure you read the instructions. I do want to point out something here. And one of the most important steps in red here is always make sure it uploaded properly. In other words, you should be able to see the exact file and the answers or data you entered. If you don't, then it didn't submit properly. You'll want to also not wait to the last minute so you have time to react if there is a problem. All right, I'm going to go to the project here. And always enter your username, which is in the instructions. Do not use caps. Do not use your student ID. Your student number. Once you put your username in, you'll get values where you need to. This is a traditional income statement that we have already learned about in your first two modules. And it's your revenues minus your expenses. What looks a little different though, because in this module, we're not doing financial reporting here. We're doing managerial reporting. And when I say reporting, we're basically doing reports that will be used by management. What we have here is you'll notice these costs. Again, a manufacturing has direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. That's what goes into the making of goods. All costs to get your goods in place and ready to sell are part of your inventory. And then when you sell them, they become cost of goods sold. So materials, labor, and overhead. Notice this here. It says 40,000 is fixed. So what we have here is what's called a mixed cost, meaning part variable and part fixed. You'll notice down here, in B, you're going to be asked to separate out the mixed into what is variable so that you can get the amount, the variable manufacturing overhead per unit. You will need to calculate the units though. I am going to show you in the class notes as far as determining. This is the instructor notes. As far as determining how much amounts are that are missing, you for certain want to make sure you can set this income statement, which is called the contribution margin income statement. This is the setup of the contribution margin income statement. I would commit this to memory. Revenues is always price times quantity. So you get a lot of these homework questions, and then the project, you're going to have to do the same thing where you might be given the total sales revenue and the price. If that's the case, you can calculate the quantity. Sometimes you're given the quantity and the sales revenue, you have to calculate the price. And lastly, you might be given the price and the quantity, you'd have to figure out the sales revenue. Basically, what I'm getting down to is knowing this relationship is very important because you'll be given 2 out of the 3. I can't make you solve something with 2 unknowns. Likewise, the variable cost per unit. Again, the variable cost, that's the amount, the cost goes up with each additional unit. So the way you know if a cost is variable is if you buy and sell 1 more unit, that cost goes up. A fixed cost, on the other hand, won't change. If you increase the number of units, it's still going to be the same cost. This contribution margin is really important because a lot of our calculations can be done just using the lower part of your contribution margin income statement. All right, so here I wanted to show you that is because you're going to take this traditional financial income statement and you're going to translate it into a contribution margin income statement. So you got to know what the units are, which you'll be calculating up there. And then what you're going to do is you need to get these amounts, the variable costs, you're going to get them on a per unit basis as well as the sales price, so you can get a contribution margin per unit. You got your fixed costs. Again, all of these are coming from the information up here. You're going to have your variable costs here and the portion that's fixed down here. Once you do that, you can then manipulate this income statement by varying certain variables, such as maybe you want to vary the quantity that you sell. Maybe you'll vary the fixed cost by, say, buying a machine and then not having as much labor, laying people off. Those types of things can be done once you set up your contribution margin income statement. The contribution margin income statement helps you to determine what your break even is. That's basically how many units do you have to sell to not make anything. In other words, just enough to cover all your fixed costs. Then the contribution margin in the break even in dollars, you have to use your contribution margin ratio. You have examples in your notes, you have a video and examples and your course content, but I just wanted to show you one where, excuse me, it's up here. Here's the breaking even. So you've got that there for you. No reason to miss any of that. Then once we get through that part, you're going to then have to, in E, we're going to vary things. And you need to show the effect of these changes. So this is what's going on. We're going to make these assumptions, and then you're going to redo your contribution margin income statement using the information from here above, which again is based on what's in A. And then you're going to figure out what your net income is, or net operating income is, with those changes. Lastly, contribution, the contribution margin break even, you want to do, I shouldn't call it that, the break even point using the contribution margin income statement, just like above, except now we have a little bit of a different scenario. And then the last here is related to the multiplier. That's learning objective 4. Again, you have that at the bottom of your, it's the last learning objective. So you have your guidance there. The bottom here, examples here, as well as examples here, videos and examples. Always check your work, and I wish you well. Have a good one.